Hey everybody, I want to talk about a conversation technique that, for lack of better terms, is the phrase, hey, if not, it's not a big deal, just thought I would ask, right? This is a downplaying technique for anyone who's got a request of some kind or wants to get you to do something or asking a favor. In and of itself, it's innocuous. However, if you find yourself saying this phrase, it's also a sign that you can do better. And if you hear other people using it, it's a sign that at a minimum they could do better. In its worst, it can be used as one linkage in a manipulation machine, we'll call it. It's a good indicator. It's something to listen for, but it doesn't necessarily tell the entire story. And I want to be clear on that. So it's usually part of a larger strategy when it's being used manipulatively. So I want to get into that. So when you hear somebody saying, hey, just thought I'd ask you to do blah, blah, blah. If not, it's not a big deal. Whatever. You gotta ask yourself, okay, well then why are they asking me if it's not a big deal and it's okay if I don't? Right? Like, it's okay if you don't. I just thought I would ask. Well, why don't you do it for yourself? You know, and that's always the first question to ask. Because this will let you know if it's actually, you know, a valid request by somebody, or if, you know, if there's really just no reason they can't, right? So, hey, you know, I just thought I'd ask you if you would do blah, 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 because I just really don't feel like doing it myself. Well, okay, well, I'm not taking time out of my day and my energy. Why should I inconvenience myself for your convenience? And that's the thing to really look for, because this is how you can tell when it's somebody seeking validation. Men and women both do this, okay? But it looks slightly different depending on the gender of who's doing it. But the overall picture is, I want to see if you will do this for me, even though I can do it. Sort of a gauging of one's self-worth, okay? And that's different from saying, hey, I need to ask a favor because your abilities and skills far exceed mine, and I'm not all that great at doing what it is I'm trying to do, but you are awesome and I'm really not. I'll give you a good example. If you're a professional of some kind, like a plumber or a pest control professional or a computer person or a mechanic, God, if you're a mechanic, right? Everybody knows, hey, you know, if it's not too much trouble to ask, I need help changing my oil, right? Something like that. Those requests are more understandable because that's more of a play to a developed skill that takes a long time to develop. You know, if you have a particular skill and you know for a fact that it would take somebody else 3 to 4 hours to do something where you could do it in 5 minutes, you know, that's a pretty valid reason to ask a favor. But other things that just require no level of skill, like, hey, if it's convenient for you, can you stop by the grocery store and just pick up 1 or 2 things for me? Because I know you're already driving by there, and you know, I'm here at the house, and I've got the kids, and I don't want to load the kids up into the car and drive to the store. I just need 1 or 2 things. Would you mind stopping by the store? This is something that I'm sure people have heard. And it's fine when it's actually 1 or 2 things. But we all know once you're at the store, it never turns into 1 or 2 things, right? It never does. So that's the danger. It's like, hey, we really need a grocery shopping trip. but I don't want to be the one to do it. You know, maybe they'll go to the store if I just say, hey, we just need 1 or 2 things, and then 1 or 2 turns into 1 or 2 dozen. So yeah, you got to look for that. Sometimes they'll give justifications too as to why they can't do something. A good one is like, I was asked recently whether or not I would do a favor for somebody, and it's like, okay, and the reasons were, well, you know, I'm feeling really sick. I took a sick day off of work. You know, my husband is having to stay late at work tonight to work on a brief. Do you mind doing this for me? If not, it's okay. Just thought I would ask. It's like, well, okay. No, your husband does not have to stay late at work. He doesn't have to. Okay? He's choosing to. And number 2, right, my guess is you're not all that sick. Because if you were really sick, chances are pretty good your husband would, you know, pick up the slack for you. Because that's how it goes. When your partner is sick and like really, really sick, naturally the other partner will pick up more responsibilities and help accommodate the sick one, right? In a healthy relationship, mind you, right? In an unhealthy relationship, when one of you is sick, like if you're sick and you're in an unhealthy relationship, when you're sick, you just have to muscle through it and power through it, right? Because, oh, you're really not that sick. Come on now. Oh, but when they're sick, it's like, come on, it's not like I'm asking for much. You know, it's not a big deal. You know, I just don't understand why it has to be a battle with you. It's not such a big deal. It's like, well, if it's not a big deal, why are you asking in the first place? See how that works? So they put it back on you, right? So when they're sick, it's an emergency. When you're sick, it's not an emergency. You know, no employer has ever said, no, you can't leave work on time, even if your wife is sick. No, employers don't do that. They don't. Anytime somebody is staying late, it's usually a volunteer effort. Now, granted, employers do know, like whenever they set a deadline, this needs to be done by Friday. If they leave it open-ended as to how that's going to happen, it's on you to plan on how it's going to happen. How are you going to meet the deadline? Right? It's on you. Which means it's entirely his choice. Right? You know, you'll see people using kids too as a means for this. Like they'll ask you to do something like for your kids. Like an example of being sick. Like, you think you can pick up the kids from school, after school, daycare, right? Because I'm sick and it's really hard to get up. It's like, if you're sick, okay, and you're asking me this like 2 hours in advance, okay, you don't even have to be there for 2 to 3 hours, right? And you're saying it's just really difficult for me to get up right now, so take some fucking medicine, right? That's the entire reason medicine exists. You know, we have some pretty awesome over-the-counter stuff and behind-the-counter stuff too, with pseudoephedrine. You know, that's you. If you're in America and you don't know this, let me tell you. Let me be the first to tell you. They have medications in the pharmacy behind the counter that contain pseudoephedrine, speed. That's what they use to make methamphetamine. That's why it's behind the counter, and that's why you can only buy like 2 boxes of medicine per month, and you have to give your ID. You know, they do sell such a thing where it will wake you up, take away your pain, and let you knock some shit out. It's there. So take some. You know, don't be a lump. And then, you know, maybe drive 5 minutes down the road to go pick up your child. That's what normal parents do, right? So you'll see people, they have something involving their kids, and then they ask you, right? And that makes it sound like they're more incapacitated than they actually are. Like the whole, I'm so sick I can't pick up my own child. No, you're not. I don't care who you are not. There's an exception, right? So being sick is one thing. If you've been in a car accident, that's a pretty good reason. If you've been in a car accident, or if you're stuck in traffic because of an accident and you are not going to make it on time, that's pretty valid. But to get the request 2 to 3 hours in advance is something else entirely. So these are all the things you have to think about. Now, let me sort of give you some tips as to how to walk you through the thought process behind this. Number one, never, and this is so hard if you're like a quote unquote people pleaser, and I've done videos on this. If you are a self-proclaimed people pleaser, you're not, okay? You're actually somewhat toxic and part of the problem. I have videos on this. You're not a people pleaser. You are a servant, is what that comes down to. You put yourself below others, and you voluntarily don the title of servant. And part of that is you end up bringing it on yourself when you do this too much. But you also naturally go hand in hand with somebody who's toxic, who likes to seek validation, right? And who likes to control. Okay, so you're literally volunteering to hop down onto like a chessboard and be a chess piece for somebody, right? So if you're a people pleaser or a peacemaker kind of person, you have to understand that you do contribute to this cycle in that manner. You put yourself in the position to be manipulated. So to help you break through that, the first question you should always ask is, why can't you do it yourself? Like, what is the physical obstacle? Or what is the obstacle? Is it something that they have power and control over? Or is it just something that's pleasant or unpleasant, and just something soft and squishy, right? Because if it's soft and squishy, sorry, you're an adult, go hashtag adult, hashtag adulting, whatever you want to call it. Go be an adult. That's what adults do, right? If it's something that's out of their control, like maybe they got pulled over by the police and now their car is getting towed, or they're stuck in a wreck, that's different. But if it's something medical and they're not in the emergency room or hospital, that is almost always something to be suspicious of. Especially like just a sudden onset sickness or illness, because for $10 you can fake an illness from any pharmacy. You can get syrup of Ipecac and be nauseous and throw up, or you can get a laxative like magnesium citrate, which is like $1 or $2, and you can have diarrhea. Or if you combine them, Lord help us, now you've got shit coming out both ends. You know, so you have to always be suspicious of requests that are born of personal illness. Now, I say suspicious, it's not always a guarantee that somebody's lying, okay? Keep that in mind. But if it's somebody that has a history of this, then you know what the deal is. So yeah, always ask yourself, why can't you do it yourself? Like, what is the obstacle? Okay, I understand you don't feel very good, but why does that prevent you from going to get your child? Because the flip side of that is stellar parents always say, I would do anything for my child, I would give my life for my child. Oh, but I'm just not feeling well, so I don't want to go get my child if somebody else will go get my child for me. Yeah, there's your sign. So anyways, I hope this helps somebody. Always listen for the words. If not, it's not a big deal. Hey, I just thought I would ask. The whole, hey, I I need help and assistance, and if you can help me, great. If you can't, that's fine. Then it's not a big deal. And if you're, like I said, if you're the one asking this, you don't really need help. You really don't need it. You just want it. When you're saying, hey, it's not a big deal if you can't, just thought I would ask. Okay? You don't need the help. You want the help. It's something you want. So frame it different. Saying, hey, I'm not very good at these things. I would like your help. I would like your assistance. If there's a day and time that works out well for you, to help me with this, I just want to make sure something gets done right, etc. I want to try and learn something. That's plenty fine. Okay, but like I said, it's just self-review. Self-review. Is it something that you really need? Or is it something that you just want? What is your pretext? And can you do it yourself? If so, then why don't you want to do it yourself? That's usually the best question to ask. Why can't I do this myself? And identify that before you start trying to enlist the help of others. Because then you can explain as you're asking why you can't do it yourself. Okay? That's all I got. Thank you very much. Join the discussion on Facebook. I've got a Facebook group. We are a small and dedicated group. We roughly fit into an egg carton, so our enrollment's not all that big, which is just the way I like it. I like talking to people in my group. You can join me there. It's Narcissistectomy, just like the title of this channel. So it should be pretty easy to find. So hopefully I'll see you there. Do please like, comment, or share. I like hearing from people. I like talking to y'all. And I'll see y'all on the next video.